So you can have, in the near future, people driving cars that have steel components manufactured in Oman.
Absolutely. There's no doubts about it. In fact, world's best chance for green steel probably is from Oman.
Tejarah Talks.
Welcome to Tejarah Talks, Oman's premier business podcast. I'm Faisal Nabhani, your host for today's session. From green manufacturing to Gen Z and the creative industries, we explore the exciting trends and game-changing ideas that are shaping our business community. No matter whether you're a C-suite veteran, a startup pioneer, or a curious business enthusiast, we've got you covered. Today, we're joined by Harssha Shetty, CEO of Jindal Shadeed. Welcome to the podcast, Harssha. Would you please introduce yourself?
Thank you, Faisal. It's a pleasure to be part of Tejarah Talks, and I'm happy to represent Jindal Shadeed. I'm Harssha Shetty. I'm the CEO for Jindal Shadeed, which is the largest steel producer in Oman and amongst the top 3 steel producing companies in the whole of GCC. And I have been here in Oman for the past 1.5 years, and my family and myself feel at home already. So, and I'm excited about the opportunities Oman offers for progressive enterprises. And we definitely are very proud to partner Oman in the Vision 2040.
Excellent. And Oman, I was very happy to have you here. You were contributing immensely to Oman's development. And we can talk about that during this podcast.
Over the past 10 years, Nodal has worked on some of Oman's most important digital transformation projects, including the Invest Easy portal and the Omani Census 2020. We've also been committed to developing local entrepreneurial talent through our Oman Talent Hub. With digital transformation playing a key role in Oman's Vision 2040, we're excited to see what's next for the country and how we can continue to be part of its journey.
Harssha, today we will go through a number of themes which I'm very excited to explore with you, including the vision of Jindal Shadeed for the future, decarbonization, things like recycling. So, this is quite an important time, I think, generally speaking, globally, for things like sustainability and how companies and factories are acclimatizing to this global trend of ensuring that their processes are in tandem and compliant with sustainability concepts and sustainability rules. So tell us a little bit about what's Jindal Shadeed's vision for the future, specifically in the area of environmental sustainability and technological innovation.
So when we talk of the vision for the future, even if you wouldn't have mentioned in the areas of sustainability, I would have, that's a key word, even if we talk of the vision. Especially in the steel industry, for us the vision is that we want to be net zero much earlier to 2040, and we are actively working towards it. We believe that we can produce close to 6 million tons in Sohar alone, and that's in terms of the production volumes. We are currently a longs producer. We will be diversifying to a complete range of steel products, both longs and flats, and this would be happening within the next 3 years. Mm-hmm. So only the sustainability thing is spread over up to 2035. Otherwise, in terms of the volumes, very soon we will have between 5.5 to 6 million tons producing in Sohar across longs and flat products.
That's quite a huge
We are already going to be 3.5 in capacity after the acquisition of Sohar Steel. So we just need to add another 2 million tons, and application is already there for gas allocation, which we believe should happen soon. With that, we are bringing a new DRI and a new furnace and a new mill to expand our products. And in addition to that, our vision is to have very good crop of leaders. Especially, we are now focusing on developing local talent from the prominent educational institutions here, and train them for leadership positions across all levels. So that's on the people side. And in the safety, which is extremely important for us, safety and waste to wealth. These are two very key themes in the steel industry. So zero harm and zero waste and zero emissions. It's our target. So basically, we would be a net zero company well before 2040.
Well before 2040.
Yes.
Given the complexities of the global steel market and international trade, how is Jindal Shadeed positioning itself to seize opportunities, overcome certain challenges? What's Jindal's strategy for accessing the international market?
So first and the foremost starts with the quality of the steel. We are the only company in the GCC who have vacuum degassing.
Who have what, sorry?
Vacuum degassing technology.
Vacuum degassing.
That makes the cleanest of the steel without inclusions, with minimal inclusions and oxide. So that is, I would say, it starts with the quality of the steel. And then our products, let me talk of one of the products, that is, say, cast rounds. We are supplying 95%. We have a 95% market share for mission critical applications of seamless pipes and tubes, which go into the oil and gas industry in the GCC region. Mm-hmm. So this is by virtue of the very stringent quality standards what we have. And we are also a supplier across the globe to the largest producers of the seamless tubes and the pipes. And when it comes to the rebars, our rebars have the most stringent quality parameters. And owing to clean steel, they stand the test of time when it comes to building homes and national assets. And when it comes to the export markets, we have a new positioning which we see a lot of interest in the European market, is that a lot of them are coming to us to homologate us for the automobile industry and other specific industries where you need low carbon footprint, because they know that Jindal Shadeed is already at 35 to 40% lower carbon footprint compared to the world. So they want to leverage that. So that's another positioning which we are using actively for our export markets, especially European markets.
So you can have in the near future people driving cars that have steel components manufactured in Oman.
Absolutely. There's no doubts about it. In fact, world's best chance for green steel probably is from Oman.
Tell us a little bit about the decarbonization strategies you've got. You mentioned sustainability is a key component of Jindal Shadeed's business model. And you've also referred to gas. I'm assuming for now, gas is the main source for power. So what are you doing in terms of decarbonization, in terms of maybe shifting towards a more green-friendly source of power?
Yes, definitely. It's we are so there are basically. First of all, let me explain the numbers just to get a perspective on that. As per the World Steel Association, the average carbon dioxide emitted per ton of steel is 2.32 tons. So 1 ton of steel emits 2.32 tons of carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. And Jindal Shadeed is at 1.57. So as per the data verified by WSA. Now, what makes this difference is basically there are 4 pillars to it. One is, the first and foremost, is the steel technology. We are using the DRI EAF route, DRI NG EAF route technology. So 70% of the production in the world is the blast furnace BOF route, and then the DRI NG, and then DRI hydrogen.
DRI.
Green hydrogen.
What does DRI stand for?
Direct reduced iron.
Direct reduced iron.
Yes.
Thank you.
So we are already in the next stage of the technology. So that is one of the biggest enablers to decarbonize. Next is that we are using a very unique hot link technology, which alone is saving us 220,000 tons of carbon dioxide being emitted into the atmosphere. So it's gravity fed direct. The DRI is directly fed into the furnace through gravity feed. And that's one of the key, very unique technologies what we have compared to globally the other DRI plants. In addition to that, as per third-party independent benchmarking agencies, in terms of production efficiencies, productivity, and resource specific consumption, we rank amongst the top 3 in the world in this technology.
Impressive.
Yes, this is published by BSC Germany, which is an independent agency, and that reduces the carbon emission, the carbon footprint significantly, be it natural gas consumption, be it consumption of power, and consumption of the complete value chain. We reduce carbon emissions significantly because of our efficiencies. And also, in addition to that, we have a very unique layout wherein our port is attached. I mean, the plant is attached to the port, which reduces the inland movement of the goods significantly, so no carbon emission. And but what we are doing for the future is important. See, these are all something which we've already done. Now, what we are doing for the future is we are investing in a carbon capture and carbon capture technology, which has the potential to significantly reduce the cost of carbon capture. Now, that can make it a very, very compelling business case going ahead. So one is you drastically reduce the carbon emission, but in the process of making steel, you do end up emitting the carbon dioxide. So we are deploying technologies to capture that further and then utilize that carbon dioxide. So we are currently working on this, and we already ordered a pilot plant which at full scale can save 700,000 tons of carbon dioxide from being emitted into the atmosphere. So
Per annum.
Per annum, yes, 700,000 tons per annum. And in addition to this, we are already actively securing and trying to secure land for renewables around Sohar. Once we have the land for renewables, we plan to have electrolyzer being set up so that we can produce our green hydrogen, and we can transition from natural gas to green hydrogen in Sohar, because that's a very critical part of our future strategy and also our vision. If we have to be net zero, this transition from natural gas to green hydrogen is the most critical element. So that's something which we are currently very actively working on.
Absolutely. And I'd like to transition to something you've mentioned in one of your LinkedIn posts, if I may.
Yeah.
You referred to the Middle East region being the future for the green steel industry.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about that? Why do you feel the Middle East is the future, and what part does Oman have in this region?
Yeah. See, actually, Middle East is gifted with a few things, which is very critical to the being a future-ready economy. So first and the foremost is the sunshine hours. It's got one of the best profiles of sun intensity and sunshine hours, which is very critical to produce solar energy efficiently. And it's got a few parts of the Middle East, especially Oman, as I know, have wind velocity which is very closely comparable to Netherlands, Denmark. and such locations. So, and there are some places which have a combination of both wind and, so Middle East has this unique combination of both solar as well as wind, and there is another third element, that is adequate land to put these assets.
Right.
Even if you have adequate sun intensity, you may not have wind. But even if you have sun and wind, you may not have
You
land.
have land, yeah.
Because it needs a humongous amount of land.
And even if you have all those three, you may not have access to the sea.
Exactly. You need access to the sea, because finally you have to convert this renewable power into green hydrogen. For that, you need ample supply of water. So Oman is gifted, and many parts of Middle East, especially if you talk of Oman, it's fifth best solar intensity, almost sixth or seventh in wind velocity, huge non-agricultural land, uninhabited land, which makes it sustainable to convert that land to renewable energy generation. A huge coastline. You can use the water and put up the electrolyzer, and you can produce green hydrogen from that. And the best part, which works in Oman's favor, and why I mentioned that Middle East is going to be the hub of green hydrogen, is a very proactive government. That's the most important enabler, no matter what you have. Because the government very early recognized this blessing for the land, and they created Hydrom, tasked with a 1 million ton green hydrogen production responsibility. And they have already identified 50,000 square kilometers of land, and they've already awarded parcels of the land to consortiums who are now actively investing into that.
That's right.
This is creating a green hydrogen ecosystem.
Yeah.
So very few countries have been so progressive.
Yes. And I might add 50,000 square kilometers, equivalent to 1/6 of Oman's total landmass. So absolutely, it demonstrates how serious the government is in terms of this very important sector. Shall we talk a little bit about green customers?
Yeah, sure.
Consumer demand for zero-emission products. It's a real thing. And you've touched on this a little bit, but I'd like to know perhaps what's Jindal Shadeed doing in terms of raising the appeal of its products for those green conscious customers, of which I'm sure you will have many in the near future. You mentioned your decarbonization strategy. You mentioned your power transition strategy. But what are you doing to communicate these strategies to your prospective clients? What's the messaging, and how do you go about it?
See, luckily for us, there are a few trends which are sweeping the globe currently, and especially the steel industry. The COP26 clearly showed a sense of urgency required by corporates, by nations, by the society to convert plans into action for decarbonizing the globe. We have a target of reducing the temperature increase to 1.5 degrees Celsius, whereas with the current trajectory, it looks like it's going to be 2.6 or 3. Now that can be detrimental to the globe and for a future generation. So this sense of urgency has brought in a lot of regulatory changes, and one of them being CBM, Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, where you're going to be taxed in case your product which you export into the Europe, taxed in proportion to the CO2 footprint when you export into the Europe. So similar mechanisms would be implemented across. And this is one reason a lot of companies are now looking at their supply chain and seeing how they can decarbonize. That's one. Two, the corporates themselves, the responsible corporates themselves, want to decarbonize. They've announced their plans by 2030, 2035, and 2040, leading up to 2040. But most of them want to do it before 2035. And they have now started asking their suppliers also to start measuring the carbon footprint, scope 2, scope 3. So that measurement has started. So what gets measured gets improved.
Mm-hmm.
So
right.
So that thing has started. And 3, the consumers have started choosing green products over non-green products. They are now at least conscious.
Even if it's at a premium.
Yes, even if it is at a premium. They have now started. This is happening across. And this trend, the propensity of the consumer to choose a green product, is increasing by leaps and bounds every 2 years. Actually, one popular agency measured it every 2 years. And what in 2020, when they had asked, in 2018, 2020, when they had asked, many people actually wondered what's a green product. But in 2022 November, when it was measured, there was a significant increase in the consumers choosing a green product. And by 2030, this is only going to increase exponentially. So the demand for green products by 2030 will continuously being upward corrected. So that's one of the key inspiration for us. And how we at Jindal Shadeed doing? See, basically Jindal Shadeed is already, we have met the customers in the Europe. We have we have discussed about supplying low carbon footprint products, and in fact from Vulcan Green also. A lot of marquee customers in the automobile, white goods, wind power segment, they have come forward and they are interested in, they have not only expressed their willingness, but they have also made plans to procure green steel from Oman. So we can see a very proactive approach from these customers and a clear intent.
You mentioned COP26. Quickly, any expectations, or what are your expectations for COP28? It's just around the corner, I think, just 2 months away.
My expectations would be a bit more granular, a bit more aggressive target setting, focus on implementation, and a bit, and I think a need for enforcement of the regulations faster.
Right.
I mean, I would like to see if the timelines can be crashed. Mm-hmm. Only that can save the globe. Agreed. Otherwise, Agreed. I don't think we would be containing it.
Right. Recycling.
Yeah.
Steel recycling has reached 90% in many parts of the world. However, the amount of scrap steel currently available is only enough to meet 25% of global demand, according to some numbers. So is recycling something that Jindal Shadeed is an advocate of?
We are a very staunch advocate of recycling across, not only steel. It's very important. And we ourselves are involved in recycling more than 90% of Oman's steel scrap. And that's a very key strategy of ours. Although ours is primary steel, we use 5 to 6% scrap. This is used for cooling the molten steel in the furnace. So that suffices to absorb more than 90% of the scrap within Oman. And it's recycling, the carbon footprint is less than 0.8 compared to 2.32. So I think it's the best bet for the world. It's like a low-hanging fruit, and we support that.
Right. Jindal Shadeed has recently acquired Suhar Steel.
Yes.
What are you doing to integrate Sohar steel into your processes? What's the plan in that regard?
Yes, so I'm very happy to share with you that we got this opportunity to turn around a Sikh company, and we could save 150 local jobs. And now we have started, and within 30 days of the acquisition, we started the mill. And within 60 days, we made our first export out of Oman. And within 100 days, we started the furnace, something which was closed for 2.5 to 3 years. We started it within 100 days of acquisition. And we are currently running at more than 65% of the full rated capacity. We started in August, and in the first 2 months, we have ramped it up to already 65% of the full capacity, and by December we expect to run it at 100% of the capacity. By March, we would be introducing a new product, that is wire rods, which is already so commissioning would be in March. That would add a new product to Oman. Oman has been an importer of wire rods because we don't have wire rod production here. So that would give domestic supply of wire rods, and it would open avenues for a lot of downstream units which can consume the steel wire rods and produce downstream products here. So it can add a multiplier effect into the local economy.
And would diversify the manufacturing base for steel if you don't have wire rods.
Absolutely. And always it can substitute imports 100%. In this direction. Actually, it can give a fillip to the export of downstream products by small scale industries. That's going to be very exciting.
Right.
This product especially is an industrial B2B product which can be further value added into very high value added products.
And SMEs perhaps might benefit from this as well.
Yes,
the ecosystem.
Right. Yeah. And we are doing a lot. We have put in our best team to work on the Sohar steel. It all starts with the right people. We have trained the 150 Omani youth and Omani employees we had in ex-Sohar steel. We have trained them, deployed them back, and they are happy to see their company now producing. They are happy to see the molten steel and the heat of the molten steel daily. And we are now investing in upgrading the technology, automating a lot of processes, because it was a bit of manual processes. When we compare to Jindal Shadeed, a lot of processes there was manual process. It will take some time. It will take at least a year to automate and bring it up to Jindal Shadeed's current operating standards. But we are 100% sure that when we do this, it will be as efficient as one of the best steel plants can be. Now, there is one thing which we are trying to solve. Probably two things. One is, of course, it needs its own DRI plant, that is iron, its own iron source. So we are working with the government to get gas allocation for a DRI plant. That would make it really sustainable. The reason why the previous in its previous avatar it could not run was it didn't have raw material security. Now we are setting the other things right. We are making it efficient. We are putting the right process. We are deploying our people and our experience to make it a very efficient steel producer. But what will actually make it sustainable is backward integration into its own integrated iron making. And that's possible once we get a gas allocation and we are ready to invest. And that would make it bulletproof, future-proof.
You mentioned 150 recruits in Jindal Shadeed. Also, Harssha, you're aware now that we've got the Gen Z.
Yes.
And Gen Z comes with a whole host of new skill sets, new expectations. What are you doing in Jindal Shadeed to respond to these new realities in terms of Gen Z requirements and expectations in the job place?
Yeah, very interesting question. I started, in order to understand this, I didn't leave it to my HR team only. So I started a new initiative called Kava Brews Ideas. Basically, it was a coffee with the CEO session.
Mm-hmm.
So we are choosing the youth and employees randomly, and I am spending half an hour with them. I meet 5 people every week. I spend half an hour on a high tea and coffee, and it's just a casual exchange as to tell us what can we do to make Jindal Shadeed better.
Mm.
Tell us what can we do to ensure you wake up every Sunday morning and you're raring to come to your office. Just 2 things. And tell us what are you excited about so that we can reinforce it. So through these sessions, I got a lot of insights, and a couple of insights really surprised me. One of our employees said that, I got a good appraisal. Anyone would have been just happy, but I'm not happy. I said, what can we do about it? I mean, why? He said, I would have been happier if my manager had told me these are my improvement areas.
Areas that require improvement?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I would have been happier if he had given me
some feedback.
A feedback. I would have been happier if he had given me before the start of the year, okay, this is what is expected very clearly out of you. And every 3 months he sits with me and gives me a feedback. That is where I feel I develop myself. He got a good rating. He got a good increment as he expected. But so that's the Gen X. I was extremely happy to hear that they want a clear KPI, key performance indicators, KPI areas, and they want very good feedback. They want to see their development, not just monetary benefits, not just whatever. So that is something which is very exciting in the Gen X, in the Omani local youth.
Definitely.
That's very encouraging for the companies also. And one more case I would like to say. It was a young lady, maybe 23 years or 24 years. We had a vision. We started a new campaign called Women of Steel on the International Women's Day. So the diversity is very low in the steel industry. And if you go in the shop floor, you won't see women at all. Probably we are afraid that, we want to keep them safe, away from the heat and so on. So one of the lady I met, she's an engineer, young, bright engineer, very, very bright engineer. And she said, I want to work on the shop floor. I said, there's not a single woman on the shop floor. She said, I'm ready to do. I want to change it. I said, I'll support it. Are you sure? We will do everything possible. We'll change the processes. We'll support it. Are you sure? And can you inspire 5 more women to join you on the shop floor? She said yes. And we recruited her immediately. And that's the spirit. That's real, I would say, women of steel.
Definitely.
So these are some of the trends what I see. Is that they want feedback. They want clarity in role. They want feedback. They want appreciation. They want to take up a challenge. They want to break the stereotypes.
Yes.
And some of them said...
They want a chance.
They want a chance.
An opportunity.
And some of them said that the chance to meet and express, like I met them and they were very happy about it. So, and they want to be trained. They want continuous education. Some of the inputs what I got, they want a minimum number of man days of training in a, which we already have, but it's good to know it from them.
Definitely. And I'm sure in these conversations, they brought in many new creative ideas.
Absolutely. So many ideas. You won't believe we captured so many ideas which are actionable ideas, not just, ideas for the sake of it, but actionable ideas which actually improve the processes or the product quality.
Definitely. It's also my observation.
Yeah.
This has been a very informative conversation with you.
Thank you.
Is there anything you'd like to say before we wrap up?
Well, I think we discussed most of it. Faisal, thanks so much. And I think probably there is one thing we can talk is that maybe one thing we can touch upon regarding sustainability. A lot of companies globally, they feel they need to balance between the sustainability objectives and the business rationale of the incremental costs. In our experience, when we started off this journey, we were not sure how much incremental cost the customer can pay. See, it costs 40 to 50% incrementally to produce green steel compared to normal steel. But still, we are moving ahead. Now, many businesses can think, does it really justify? Is it really a business case? We believe it's a business case. While it costs 40 to 50% to extra to produce green steel, it costs less than 1% in most of the products. If a customer chooses products made of green steel, for a car, say it's a 30,000 euro car, it would cost less than 300 euros incrementally to choose a car made of green steel. If it's a washing machine, 600 to 700 euro washing machine, one of the large brands with whom we are closing, it costs hardly 25 euros incrementally to have a washing machine made of green steel. And if it's a wind tower, which actually stands for green throughout its lifespan, producing green energy, the LCOE is increase is less than 1%. So definitely it is a business case, we believe. It's all about how we pitch at every part of the value chain, finally ending up at the consumer. Two, governments have to be very clear about the policy. They have to tax the polluters and incentivize those who choose to take this plunge.
The polluters pay principle, basically.
Yes, that unless that comes in the society, we are not going to contain the temperature rise. Mm-hmm. And corporates, they have to proactively commit to the society. The first thing they have to commit is on sustainability. Because if one thing we give our children, it's not the property, it's not the wealth, it's the right to live in a world which was as green as we were born into. And unless we all believe in that, we won't be able to act.
What a great way to wrap up the podcast. Thank you very much once again, Harssha, for this very engaging and insightful conversation.
Thank you.
I wish you all the best. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
That wraps up another episode of Tejarah Talks. Thanks for joining us. Please don't forget to follow us on your favorite podcast platform and join us again the next time. Until then, stay curious.
Tejarah Talks.